Do you often find it difficult to maintain smooth airflow? That is, when you're speaking, you speak in a choppy manner. You block, you stop, you get started, sometimes you run out of air. Does that happen to you? My name is Michael Williams, and in this video, we're going to talk about a technique that's a part of the 7 steps to quickly achieve smooth, calm, and confident speech. And this technique is blending your words. Now, I know that you're wondering, what do you mean by blending your words? Well, blending your words is really a very natural way of speaking. I'm blending my words right now. When you speak smoothly, when you speak naturally, you're blending your words. Another way to look at it is you're linking your words, right? You're linking your words. So blending your words is simply making sure that there is a continuing airflow, a continuing flow and rhythm to your speech and to your words. So let me just kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about when we're blending our words. So first, let's take a look at an example of when a person's not blending their words. So I'm going to visually show it to you, and then I'm going to demonstrate it for you audibly so you can see it. So let's imagine that this is a word, right? This is a word, and this is a word. Just do 3, and this is a word. Okay. Now, what you notice here, please excuse my back, but what you notice here is that there's space, right? There's space between these words. There's space between the words. So if you were reading it on a page, sure, you would see space between the words. They wouldn't all run together. So let's maybe make a sentence like this. It says, this is a word, right? So we notice that we have what? Spaces in between these words. So when we're reading, that's okay to have spaces between your words. So this space is space or pause, a space or pause, word. Very natural when you're looking at words on a page. However, when you're speaking, you don't want to sound like that, right? What we want to do when we're speaking is it should look more like this. This is a word. Now, what do you notice? What's the difference between these two little phrases, statements, sentences? What's the difference? That's right. There's no, or virtually no, spaces, or what we might call here, pauses when speaking, right? Pauses. There's no pauses between the words. So you would read it, this is a word, right? This is a word. And you could further read this like this. This is say word, right? You could even take the other is out because this is a word. This is a word, right? And I've done this, I don't know how many times, probably tens of thousands of times over the years working with people. When you speak this way, what you do is you remove the unnecessary pauses. You blend your words, you link your words together, and it allows you to maintain airflow. Now, there's a technique that we have in the Pro90 speech system, which is called airflow linking. And it's a very, very specific tool that you can use when you get stuck. When you're stuck on a word, it's a way for you to link or blend the words together so that you can now say that word smoothly, overriding your brain. Your brain is going to try to stop you, it's going to try to block you, it's going to try to cut off the airflow. And so this is a way to override that. And I'm not going to get into that here. It's a whole different technique, and it's inside the Pro90D smooth speech system. You can get that in the basic course. But suffice to say, when we're speaking smoothly, we're blending our words. Yes, we're pausing, right? We're pausing to think about something. There's natural pauses in our speech. The problem is when those pauses interrupt the flow of your speech, when those pauses are actually blocks, when those pauses are not necessary. So what you have to do is to retrain your brain, retrain your speaking system. That's the mechanics of speaking, mechanical aspect of your speech. Retrain your brain to maintain airflow by blending your words, by blending your words. So notice I'm maintaining airflow, as I say, by blending your words. So I'm not by blending your words. Every time you pause in a phrase like that, you're giving yourself an opportunity to get stuck. So if there's a word in there or a letter that you think that you generally get stuck on, a vowel sound or a consonant or something, your brain sees it, and as soon as you let yourself stop, then you're stuck. But you can override your brain and make sure that you start speaking while blending your words, or blending your words while you're speaking. Then what you're going to find is, even if you do anticipate it, you're going to find, oh, I was able to say that smoothly, because you overrode your brain and you mechanically made sure that you maintain airflow by doing what? By blending your words, by blending your words. Now, here's what I want you to remember. This is a technique. It's also a skill for smooth speech, right? By blending your words, it makes your speech smooth, just like extending. In fact, you'll hear me talk about extending and blending, right? Very, very powerful way to gain control of your speech, to make it smoother, and also to make your speech more engaging, because it's not choppy. But remember, it's a technique, it's a skill. And in and of itself, it may not work all the time. Pro 90D is not about just giving you techniques and having you technique dependent or technique focused. Because there are times when you're under pressure, or this situation or that situation, where a technique that you had been using and maybe it was working doesn't work here. And you say, oh, well, this doesn't work anymore. No. Really, Pro 90D is about helping you create a new speaking identity and a new mindset, right? When you do that, when you create a new speaking identity, a new mindset, it also helps you create a new way of speaking, a new way of speaking. And as we say, everyone has this fluency. Everyone gets stuck from time to time. When your identity is transformed and your mindset is transformed, you respond to those instances where you get stuck very, very differently than you used to. Number one, you stop anticipating. And if you do happen to anticipate, you're confident enough to know that you can still smoothly navigate it. You can still, so you're not as stressed about it. But more than likely, you stop anticipating, you stop thinking about it, which lowers, reduces, almost eliminates the stress, the anxiety, the anticipation. Okay, I'm going to get stuck on this word. That starts to decrease until it just doesn't happen anymore. So that's number one. Number two, when you do get stuck, you don't really think about it. It doesn't really bother you. It's like going over a bump in the road. So you're like, okay, well, just got stuck, so I'll just navigate around it. I'll go through it. I'll do this, right? And you keep moving, so it doesn't bother you. It doesn't mess up the rest of your conversation or presentation or comment or whatever it is. Because you're transforming your identity, so you're not thinking of yourself as a person who stutters or stammers. And if you don't think of yourself that way, when it happens, it's almost like it's happening to someone else. By that I mean, when other people kind of get stuck, it doesn't really bother them. They just use an ah or they repeat it, or they just navigate around. They don't even think about it, right? It's like a bump in the road. When a person who stammers, stutters, and they think of themselves that way, they anticipate it, they think about it, they get anxious about it. When it happens, they say, oh, see, well, I knew. And then they start to shut down, and it messes up the rest of their speech, and it spirals down. So when you transform your speaking identity and your mindset, that just doesn't happen anymore. So by having a confident speaker's mindset and a confident speaker's identity, then you simply reduce a lot of the stressors or triggers that trigger stuttering in the first place. You reduce and you eliminate them. And when you do get stuck, you respond very differently. You recover almost instantly, and you simply don't think about it anymore. Does this make sense? So that's why transforming your speaking identity and your mindset is what Pro 90D and what the whole smooth speech journey, what the whole smooth speech system is all about. So a technique, all the techniques I've been sharing with you, all of the techniques you might ever hear me talk about, usually isn't enough. It can most definitely improve your speech. It can move you from wherever you were, wherever you are, to a place where you're often able to introduce yourself, you're able to ask questions, you're able to communicate at a much higher level. However, if you're not where you want to be, but you've been using techniques, just understand the reason is because perhaps you haven't engaged yourself in the entire process, in the entire smooth speech process, which is a systematic process that helps change your brain, literally. It helps you form a new speaking habit, a new thinking habit, a new belief system. And this takes a little bit of time, and it takes effort, right? It takes consistency over time. So if that's something that you want to do, we have a few options for you. Number one, you're going to look for a little link, and it's going to be, if you're watching this on YouTube, a little circle with an eye in it. So you click on that circle, and you're going to see some graphics in there and some links where you can get a copy of the 7 steps to quickly achieve smooth, calm, and confident speech. You can get a copy of this video and audio. It comes with its own mobile application as well for the audio. Get that for free. And there's a bonus course in there called the Passive Learning Mental Trainer, Mental Trainer Passive Learning. You're going to get that as a bonus for free. And this is for a limited time, so you need to take advantage of it now. However, if you've been trying this on your own and been getting inconsistent results, then you're going to want to schedule an appointment with me so we can have a conversation about where you are now, where you'd like to be, and how we can help you get there. Working with me or working with a coach is going to be the fastest way to get you to where you want to get. So if you've been avoiding situations, if you've been sitting in meetings or in class, you have the answer, or you have something that you want to say and you haven't been saying it, if you've been limiting yourself socially, limiting yourself career-wise, limiting yourself educationally, because of your speech, let me just tell you that you don't have to continue to do that. We have a systematic, scientifically based process that can help transform your speech. It's not magic, it's science, right? And it just works. The research has been done. Hundreds, thousands of people have gone through this. And it works if you do the work. So you can't go out and expect to become completely fluent in another language if you don't learn the language and practice the language in real time or with real people. You can learn it, you can practice it by yourself. When you go talk to somebody, a lot of that breaks down until you actually get used to the stressors, the normal stressors that come from engaging and interacting with people. And once you kind of get over that, then you start feeling more confident, you start remembering and recalling and able to speak naturally. This is the same thing. It's the same thing. So you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And if you do the work, I have a client who just released a video to our private group. If you do the work, you'll see where you're going to come out on the other side. She says, you know what? I don't even have to think about my speech anymore. I don't have to think about modeling it. I don't have to think. I can just speak. I can think like a regular person. Before, she was thinking about it all the time and getting stuck and avoiding, and now she's free. And I have other clients, and you can see many of their videos. They're free. So how would you like to be free? Well, the fastest way is to work with me, a speech coach, one-on-one. That's your fastest way. Working on your own can be effective, and it can get you to a certain level, but that's the longer way. So some of you may want to work on your own. Then I encourage you to get the basic smooth speech system. That's the complete course. That obviously is not free. The 7 steps is free, and that can give you a taste. So if you're like, wow, does this really work? How does this work? Get the 7 steps. So some people, you can't test out what they're saying, what they're doing, unless you pay for it. We're not like that. We want to give you something that's concrete, the same 7 steps. These are steps that my coaching clients use, my self-study clients use. They get more, yes, but for free, you can get the same things, the same basics that they get. Try it for yourself. If you see, wow, this really does work, but I need more, then you get the basic course. Now, if you're a professional or you have something that's coming up where you just don't want to just mess around with this by yourself, then you might say, you know what, I'm not going to mess around with this by myself. I want to accelerate my progress. I want to work with Michael one-on-one so I can get to smooth speech as quickly and easily as possible. So I want to invite those of you that are professional and you're ready to do that, go ahead and click that link. So today, we talked about blending your words. In the program, I go into more detail, but I've given you a pretty high level and almost an in-depth overview of this, but we go into a little more detail in the program, video and audio. Grab that as quickly as you can. And again, for those of you that are ready to accelerate your progress, you're going to want to work with me one-on-one. Click that link. Look forward to seeing you. Again, my name is Michael Williams.